What's up, guys? Josh here for day 28 of Road to 200 Million Slayer Experience. And first off, I want to start off by saying I'm sorry about the audio problem with the last video. Weirdly enough, it didn't seem to really be present in the video until it was uploaded to YouTube. No idea why that is. It worked all fine on my computer, and then somewhere along the way it just kind of pooped itself. But yep, that's not really that relevant. So 28 days already, and that blows my mind, because it feels like I just started this series and I've met some really good people along the way, even at day 28, so I hope that continues on the many days that remain before this all ends. So I'll get the usual thing out of the way. Just real quick, you can see that I am cannoning and Dragoring, if that is a term, black demons, and this is currently what I would suggest doing, as it is the best thing to do if you have a Vamp Prism aura activated. Now, I've been looking at the new abilities, which I haven't gotten yet, which I really should get, but I haven't quite gotten yet. And it would appear that if the Threshold ability, which I believe is called Devotion, works like I think it works, you probably wouldn't even need to use the Vampirism aura on Demon and Dark Beast tasks, but I really need to check that out. I'm really gonna start getting into it from now on. I should really obviously make sure I get it done every day. I think at the moment I'm up to a silver pendant, and that's not good enough for the first basic ability, which should really help here if it's used properly. But you know, I just find Slayer fun, and that's what I really do in the game, but I should really just put aside a few minutes to do that real quick. Oh, grats Nick. 94 summoning, what a champion. So yeah, this task is a fantastic task if you haven't seen any other video with me doing it. Great XP per hour, and overall it's pretty simple. Just cannon and drink some prayer when you need it. It's not a long task, and of course, as you'll notice, I've got my my quality down a little bit. That's because I've had a bit of lagging every now and again today, probably because I just let my prayer run out. That wasn't too smart. Probably because I need to upgrade this computer a bit better, I think, but it usually can run high detail just fine. But I know lag can really stuff up using abilities. Like, it can make it so much more difficult than when you're using it on really anything else. But anyway, moving on from that, I'll get to the next part in that. So far, and if you haven't noticed yet, guys, I do like to round my XP gained up a little bit, because I always play for a bit after uploading these videos, and that's usually what they end up at. So anyway, I have currently gained 1.1 million magic experience, 1.5 million attack experience, and as of now 1.4 million Slayer experience. It's been going well, and going to the next part, I'm 147.1 million attack experience, 62 million magic experience, and of course 89.4 million Slayer experience. I believe the week has ended, really, and for the week I gained 10.2 or 10.3 million Slayer experience, I think. I'm not so sure about that. I know it was at least 10 million, but yeah, not a bad week. Not the best. I think a good week is in the higher part of 11 million, but that's fine. You know, you get that. But playing like that, it's not good, and it's not too easy to set aside that much time, especially for a week or even a month, as I have been doing. But moving on, of course, but I wanted to go over a bit quickly, even though I've already spent 5 minutes already. I want to go over real quickly what I think RuneScape will be like in 5 to 10 years, and I think that'll be a very interesting thing to consider because, as most people know, the world is getting, I'd say, a bit more progressive, or at least a little bit more accepting, maybe liberal, in the classical sense, not the Australian political sense of the word liberal, that is. And that is a bit more accepting of people of different backgrounds, or I suppose not the usual norm, as you will. In RuneScape, it's an interesting thing to consider because it is a fantasy game, and it is played by a lot of people who aren't that progressive-minded, I suppose. Gonna try to word this carefully so I don't get what I'm trying to say misinterpreted. But the world, or at least the first world, progressive of developed world, I should say, probably, I don't know, it's getting quite a bit more accepting of things like gay marriage, and even though this might seem a little strange, it is considering secular motives as more important in today's society. And the reason why that's important for RuneScape is because RuneScape reflects the values of the players, because no matter how much JX is fine with, say, a gay individual, they will not put a gay NPC in the game at current standards, or even, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago even, because RuneScape's that old, because it would cause a lot of discontent among the players. And I don't know what the stance of JX is, but I probably consider it a fairly progressive sort of company, but I have no reason to think one way or the other. I mean, it's interesting because RuneScape, of course, is played in large part by the UK, Australia, and America, but I have met quite a few people from the Middle East that play this game, and the Middle East isn't exactly known for its large acceptance of gay culture, to say the least. So I think with RuneScape, it'll really show this very odd side if there was a quest about reuniting two gay NPCs or something. And it's amazing that it's an issue, that it's like just seeing it will be a show of a catalyst of change in media. But I think it is around the corner, although I did talk to a person who is very open about his sexuality, who happens to be gay, and he did ask JX if they had any plans to implement a homosexual NPC, and they told him they had no plans to, but so I don't know, maybe one day. The reason I say this isn't to rant or even say that RuneScape should put it in, but just really, what would be the consequence, or what would be the meaning behind them including such a thing? Because, I mean, there's not many games that really have it in there, especially MMOs. I mean, there's a few games like RPGs, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, BioWare sort of games. They have that option in there, but an MMO, I don't know if there is one besides Knights of the Old Republic, which again is a BioWare sort of game anyway, even though I don't think it's made by BioWare, but that's irrelevant. My rambling? 10 minutes, okay, sweet. So there's kind of the argument, kind of going back to what I was trying to say, but I got lost along the way. RuneScape is a fantasy game, which many people consider should mean it should be medievally set. That is, swords, catapults, magics, you know, bows and all that. But then at the same time, RuneScape has a degree of science in it. And I'm lagging. That's awesome. I'm pretty sure a medieval society didn't have a fucking bazooka that could shoot toads, which would be cool if they did. But all these things that a fantasy game doesn't have to be restricted in that way. The fact that RuneScape is a fantasy game does not mean that RuneScape cannot have guns in it, which is another thing that people think RuneScape should never have, but I don't really care too much about that. And the fact that RuneScape has actually put in the Godless faction, which admittedly hasn't really had that large of a role in RuneScape currently, but even the fact that they have it in there, I think, was quite surprising to me, because, well, even the fact that Guffix is a secular god, which is one of the most bizarre things I think you could say, but he believed that gods should have no meaning or no presence amongst the mortals or the humans or the races of the lower beings, blah blah blah, even though he didn't say that. That's interesting because I think it added an interesting subtext to the quest, in that there is at least the acknowledgement of a kind of untraditional sort of way of thinking, and the Godless, of course, kind of reflect that in their speech, saying man doesn't need gods. That's very interesting. You don't think about that too much, and the way they're going to achieve victory over the gods, according to them, is the use of science, and the invention skill, I believe, is going to tie in a lot to that, I think they said. So we have a fantasy game with literal gods. It's not up to interpretation. They're literally walking around RuneScape, or at least some of them are at any given time. They're literally fighting over these powers, or the right to have these powers, and all these different little things, and yet people will argue that RuneScape can't change too much because fantasy, but having a secularist group in a game where the majority of the people are religious is kind of fascinating to me, to be honest. Most people might not care too much about this. I might even be reading into it a bit too much, but personally I think it's a great sign for RuneScape's story and their ability to change or acknowledge the different sort of people that live in this world, when they can put that sort of thing in a quest and it can speak to someone like me, and I can, because I really, after doing that quest, I read all the text, I read all the text, and I really sat down and I thought about it, and it gave me a lot of thinking and a lot of sort of points to go back on over in my mind, which honestly, there's not really many quests in RuneScape that can kind of do that. And I think the fact that so many things were unorthodox about that quest, which really bring it home for me. So, in conclusion, my idea of RuneScape is it'll reflect the changes in social values, I think, in the first or Western world. In that, you see, the weird thing to me that comes to mind immediately is when I'm thinking about the future of RuneScape, I'm not thinking about the graphics or the interface, in that, oh, my cannon's about to decay. Oh, my prayer ran out. Oh, everything bad is happening at once. I'm not thinking about all these technical things or even gameplay mechanics, I'm thinking, how will they reflect social attitudes in the game? And I really do think it'll be much more progressive. I think it'll have a lot of interesting subtext, and I think it's going to acknowledge a lot of real-world trends towards acceptance of some groups that, on the whole, have been more or less completely ignored in RuneScape. I mean, I know it might be even controversial for some of the people watching this video, but I think you guys are all pretty intelligent, so I don't really see any of you being bigots or anything like that. But a lot to think about and a lot to consider when it comes to future RuneScape, so you know, this is very far into the video, so I'm not sure how many people would have stayed this long. This might be one of my longer videos that I've done, but if you have stayed this long and you feel like leaving a comment, which again, I'd be happy if you did, but I'm not sure how many people will. Be a good indication of who watched this far. Just tell me in the chat box, what do you think would happen if Jagex released a quest next week where the main objective was to help two gay individuals reunite on RuneScape? Do you think there would be an uproar from RuneScape? Do you think it might even get a little bit of media attention? Or I don't know, a lot to think about. So tell me what you guys think. Always open to what you guys have to say, and besides that, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry for the long video. I'm also sorry for the really bad audio in the last video, but yeah, I'll try to make sure this one has very good audio, and if it does somehow get shitty audio on the way to being uploaded, then I'll just have to quickly make sure that I take it down and then re-upload it in better quality. So that's about it for now, guys. Thank you very much. Please leave that comment if you got this far and you're interested in that sort of discussion and way of thinking. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.